You asked for it, you got it. I've got 5 brand new episodes of our weekly meal prep series for you every Thursday through April. And today's menu is all inspired by the delicious flavors of Italy. We're getting started today with a rustic Tuscan chicken I know you are going to love. Today I'm using some legs and some thighs because those are inexpensive cuts and I find they really lend themselves to this rustic dish. So I've arranged all of my chicken pieces in a baking dish and I'm just going to mix up a really simple marinade. I'm going to start by chopping up some fresh rosemary. To that I'm going to add some minced garlic cloves and some olive oil. I'm going to finish that off with the juice of a lemon. I'm going to whisk these ingredients together really well and then cover my chicken with them. And then I'll finish it off with some sliced lemon. Now you could bake this right away, that would be totally fine, but if you want to make it extra delicious, you should let it marinate for anywhere between an hour and 4 hours. The longer it sits, the tastier it's going to become. I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees and I'm going to cook this chicken for about an hour or until the chicken reaches 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Next up on today's menu, we've got some oven roasted tomatoes. So I've got some tomatoes that I've just cut in half, and to that I'm going to add some whole cloves of garlic and cover this with some olive oil and some salt and pepper. I'm going to lay out my tomatoes skin side down and then sprinkle my garlic cloves out. We're going to bake these for between 40 and 50 minutes or until the tomatoes have blistered. These tomatoes are incredible when served over rice or over pasta, or you could put them in your food processor and mix them with some pesto for an unbelievable sauce. Don't know how to make pesto? Sit tight, that recipe's coming up in just a few minutes. Now we are going to tackle our rice. In a saucepan, I've got some oil heating up, and to that I am going to add a classic mirepoix. I've got some onions and some celery and some finely diced carrots. We're going to cook the veggies for 4 to 5 minutes or until they soften up. Then we're going to add some fresh thyme leaves, some long grain and wild rice, and some beautiful vegetable broth. We're going to bring this all to a boil and then turn our heat down to low, cover, and let it simmer for 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, you can turn off your heat and let it sit for another 5 or 10 minutes until all the flavors combine and the rice becomes fluffy. Once it's ready, you could eat it as a side dish, or hey, you could totally make it the main event. For this week's salad, we are combining some classic Italian flavors. I've got some baby spinach standing by in a bowl, and to that I am going to add a can of sustainably sourced tuna. I'm going to top this with some red kidney beans, some tomatoes, some olives for a nice salty bite, and some chopped red onion for crunch. We're going to dress this salad really simply with just some olive oil, some lemon juice, and some salt and pepper. Give it all a good mix and you have a nutrient-packed salad that I promise you will love. Next up on today's menu is some homemade pesto sauce. If you've never made pesto, don't be intimidated. It's actually very, very simple and only has a couple of ingredients. To the bowl of my food processor, I'm going to add a whole lot of fresh basil leaves. I'm going to top this with some minced garlic and some pine nuts. If you don't have any pine nuts on hand, don't sweat it. You could totally replace them in this recipe with some walnuts or even some sunflower seeds. Those would work just as well. We're going to give this a good pulse, and after about 30 seconds, we're going to start to add our olive oil. Now you want to add your olive oil while your blades are spinning to make sure you get a nice emulsification. Once your pesto has almost come together, you're going to flavor it with some salt and pepper and some freshly grated Parmesan. Because let's be serious, nothing adds flavor quite like freshly grated Parmesan. You're going to give it a few more pulses, and this is ready to rock. This pesto makes a great marinade or a sauce for rice or chicken, or even better, you can turn it into a fantastic dip by just mixing it with some plain yogurt. It makes a great dip for all sorts of fresh veggies, like some zucchini, some bell pepper, or these green beans that I've just washed and trimmed. I'm wrapping up this week's menu with some darling little Antipasto snack jars. So what I've got are some bocconcini balls, some cherry tomatoes, some olives, and some salami that I've just cut up. I'm going to add a handful of each to my jars, and you have a really flavorful snack that I think you're going to love. I hope you'll give this week's menu a try, and if you do, be sure to tweet or Instagram me a photo because you know I love seeing what you're coming up with in your very own kitchens. Speaking of Instagram, you should definitely follow us at the Domestic Geek 1 because every day through April, we are sharing a brand new salad recipe as part of our 30 Days of Salads campaign. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Domestic Geek because there's lots more deliciousness where this came from.